Hello, everybody. Coming to you live from, I don't know where we are. We're all over the place. We have a
All over the
Nashville girl
place.
with us today.
Nashville.
Yeah, so jealous. Yeah, Melissa Holcombe is with us today. Say hi, Melissa.
Yay!
Guys, so good to be here
Yeah,
under these circumstances, but
yeah, it'd be nice if we were just talking about rainbows and butterflies, wouldn't it? But
I
not
wish.
today. Not today. Well, we want to give everybody an update on what's going on with Jeannie as of today. Today's Thursday, and I think we're gonna go ahead and put this on tonight. So you're probably gonna see this on Thursdays when we're gonna release it, because we want to get this out as soon as possible because of this news that we just broke today, that she has been officially removed. Her papers were removed from the Assemblies of God all the way up to the national office. What we're hearing is it went all the way up there and they voted to remove her papers. I think she has some time to appeal it, but it doesn't look like that's going to matter anyway. So Jeanne Mayo has officially been defrocked from the Assemblies of God. And so I just want to say this off the top. A friend of mine called me today and said, are you happy about that? And I just started to cry. I mean, it's like, no, I'm not happy about that. Like, that's stupid to be happy about that. Of course, I'm not happy about that. I'm happy for the victims that are now being vindicated. I'm happy that nobody else is going to get hurt, but I'm not happy that she's in pain today. I mean, we'd all be crazy if if this was about that. So
Right.
just saying off the top, we're not happy.
Right. Yeah, I just want to echo that this isn't about her. This is about the people who suffered, were marginalized, were neglected, weren't believed, sometimes were attacked. Today is your day because it's been a long time coming, but you're validated. And what happened to you is real. And hopefully all of those folks out there that couldn't hear it, wouldn't believe, worse yet, tried to shut you down, hopefully they'll have the temerity to stand up and reach those people they touched and say, look, I'm sorry, we were wrong, we should have listened. But I have been moved today to tears several times just thinking about all you folks and everybody on this podcast tonight is a number of them has been hurt by her in some way. And no, I'm not happy. I'm not happy because she's suffering. I'm happy for those people.
So, Melissa, we wanted to have you on because we know you have a story, and I put you on the Mount Rushmore of people back in 2020 that were not willing to back down, and you put your neck on the line to tell your story and to expose some of these things. So we're just going to get out of the way and let you give us the timeline and what happened, and just tell us your story.
Yeah. So I'm a Georgia girl, born and raised in Georgia, grew up in Assemblies of God church, wonderful pastors, very healthy. And I started going to church camp at as young as you could go. I think at age 8, I started going. I don't know if you can go younger, but at age 8, I started going to camp. Had some incredible moments at camp with God that I remember to this day. He calling me into ministry during that time, just some really significant moments in my life. In high school, I started going to the Tabernacle in Decatur, where Jeannie would later come in and pastor, her and her husband. They already had ties to the church through Pastor Sam's parents. He had opened about 30 churches in the Atlanta area. So a lot of rich history at the church. The church at the time, and I don't know where it is today, but at the time it was about 1,000 people and had 32 different countries represented in the church. That's very rare, but also for an Assemblies of God church, that's very rare. So it was something that I was really proud to be a part of. It was a beautiful picture of what heaven will look like. So during my time there and serving heavily and being very involved in the youth ministry and the worship team, I found out about this program called Master's Commission. His nephew and his family attended the Tabernacle, and he had come back after his first year and came to a retreat that we were having, and I met him and we became fast friends. And he said, you've got to check this program out. It's amazing. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do as far as what was next after high school. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to take 9 months and spend time with God and grow and figure it out. And so while I was a senior in high school, I went up to Rockford to visit him, and he invited me on a retreat that they do. And it was about, gosh, probably 1,000 people. I had never seen a youth group that big. I mean, I had a big youth group as far as AG standards go, but I had never seen something like that. 1,000 youth, it was like phenomenal. The sharpest of the sharp people, super popular. It was just like the cool thing to do. And I was mesmerized. I was hooked. I was like, this is the coolest thing. I've never seen this many young people on fire for God. Like this is what I want. And so
What year was that? Do you remember? What year did you
uh,
graduate?
I graduated in 96. So this would have been in 95.
I was gone.
Yeah, so I went on to apply for Rockford Masters Commission, and I got accepted. And so I attended Masters in 96, 97. I was a part of a phenomenal small group that Jordan Marcon was actually a student in my small group. Uh, that was really neat. And then I applied for a second year, but I didn't get accepted, and I was just told it wasn't God's will, and that absolutely crushed me. It absolutely crushed me because I just thought, but this is what I want to do with my life. Like, what do you mean? And already during my time there, there's a lot that starts to happen, but you're impressionable, and you just think, well, maybe this is what ministry is, and I need to, talk to God about it and not be judgmental and not question, because these are people that are placed in authority over me. And I was a good Christian girl. And so I just thought, this is the way it is. And you keep your opinions to yourself and you keep going. So after my first year, I came back to Atlanta, and I actually helped the Tabernacle start a master's commission. And it was very healthy. The youth pastor at the time was incredible. He's still a friend I keep in contact with now. He pastors in Louisiana. It was phenomenal, but I still missed Rockford. And so after a year there, I moved back up to Rockford, where I served in the youth group until 2000. During that time, I got wind of things that Jeannie would say about me, that I was a gossip, certain things like that. And I think it's just because I had her pinned for as much as I could have had her pinned at 18 years old and 19 years old. I wasn't Jeannie's favorite. I wasn't called out or anything like that, but that was the goal at the time. Jeannie was really, really good at calling people out, making them feel really, really special. And so people fought for that attention. And I just never did. And I just always thought, well, I'm not good enough I guess I'm not godly enough to be recognized. And that was kind of my thought at the time, like so sad. During that time, Jeannie promised me a small group to be what they called under shepherds, which is like co-pastors of a small group. And that eventually was taken away because she said that I told someone about it, which I told a friend because I was excited. So that was taken away. So anyway, I was just trying and striving during that time to just be this certain type of Christian that I thought I was being called to be. You don't listen to secular music. You don't have sex outside of marriage. You don't. And the things you do, you have to strive basically for perfection. And it just was unattainable for me. I thought I could never get this right. And so my parents started going through a divorce in 2000. And so I moved back home. That being one of the reasons, but also just feeling like a failure. Like I couldn't attain. I tried to get back into masters. I talked with Jeremy Dewart and tried to go in as a second year or even as a third year. And it was just like, no, 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 no. So I thought, what do I do? I want to be in ministry, So I just thought maybe I had missed God on the whole thing. So I moved back home, very hurt, feeling like I just want to be a normal person. I don't want to feel like everything I say and do is going to send me to hell. So I took a job at the mall and just started hanging out with people and doing my thing. And I was always like a good kid. And then I think the divorce of my parents after 32 years of marriage or 30 years of marriage, this church hurt, all of that started to kind of pile up, right? And I met a guy and got in a relationship, and he managed a club downtown and was very well known and had lots of perks that came with that. So it was that kind of led me down a road of severe alcohol and drug abuse, and not physical abuse from him, but certainly mental. It was really, really unhealthy. And we were together, I guess, about 3 years. And then when that broke, I was just a shell of a human being. I had like forgotten who I was. I had gotten 2 DUIs in 2.5 months back to back, went to jail a couple times, just had made a mess of my life. And I just thought, this is, what it is. Shortly after that, I found out that Jeannie and Pastor Sam had moved to Atlanta. And at the time I had heard that they got fired from Rockford, but there was talks of like mismanagement of money and the church wasn't growing. Of course, Jeannie put it all on Pastor Sam that the church wasn't growing and that she was just going to do the right thing and move with him. But there were sexual cover-ups and just, stuff that I found out kind of after the fact. But again, she had played such a significant role in my life. During that time, I thought, this is finally my time to be close with her. And this is God calling me back to him, So I went to the church and we chatted. I went to a youth leaders conference that they had. She invited me to come and be her special guest and paid for it and all the nice things. So I went and I thought, okay, if I do this, everybody in my life right now has no idea what kind of life I led before as far as ministry and all that. They know me as party girl Melissa. They don't know me as anything else. So my life is literally going to change if I make this decision, because I didn't have any close Christian friends that lived in proximity to me. And so she said, come on back home. I'll put you on staff. I'll take care of you. You can live in the apartments that the students are living in. And so I was like, all right, this is it. So I went on staff with her in 2000. I believe it was the end of 2002. It was the end of 2002 or the beginning of 2003. And I was still abusing drugs. I was still going out every night. And just started to make different choices and kind of got that squared away, but never dealt with the other stuff. And so I had known that I was really good with students and I could have a really positive influence on them and love them really well. And I knew that I had that gift from God. And so I just put it into action and ran a small group that turned into about 80 kids that we had to split and go into two different small groups. And just to this day is one of I would say my proudest moments as far as life and ministry goes. Just incredible students that now are married with their own kids. And shortly after that, a guy, Chris Harrell, moved into town, and he was from California. He was part of the cadre. Jeannie has a youth leader mentorship program called the cadre. And so when you're on staff with her, you get an opportunity to meet all these people and network, and you literally meet people from all over. And so after he was part of her cadre, he moved to Atlanta to be part of the staff with Masters. And I think he started as a Bible teacher, I want to say. And a girl from his youth group came and was a student. And I didn't know all the story behind it in the beginning, but then later found out they really liked each other, and he basically had followed her to Atlanta. They went on to get engaged and go on staff at a church back in California, and he asked me to come and be on staff with him. So in 2008, I believe it was 2007 or 2008, I moved out to California to work in the youth ministry there. Had an incredible experience as far as the youth ministry goes, but started to notice little things here and there. He would really keep me away from Brenda. While I was out there, they ended up getting married, and he would keep me and any other female that was working with him away from her. And he would kind of make comments that she had experienced a lot of trauma and was very insecure and all these things. So being a single woman in ministry who had a decent head on her shoulders and a decent grasp on who she was not a super insecure person, thought I was going above and beyond to make her feel like, hey, there's no need to worry here. I don't want your husband. But it was always a weird, and her and I were very close when she was a student, but it became very strained when we were in ministry together. And I never fully understood why. I always was like, why is she so weird to me? Why is she so weird to one of my dear friends who also served in ministry with us? And so I left that church and I went and I took a position at a really large church in Oklahoma City that was the youth pastor was part of the cadre. And the church at the time was about 12,000 people. And I was the first impressions pastor. And so I got to be the first face people see. And that was really, really fun for me. I love making a great impression. I love connecting people and making them feel welcome. But yeah, it started, you just see when you're on that side, you see parts of the ministry, some that are good and some you're like, I wish I didn't know that. I wish I would have never seen that. And I just, again, never, although I felt called to ministry, I was like, this is not it. I don't know what it is, but this is not it. And so anyway, found out that the pastor's wife had a dream about the country of Lesotho, which many people have never even heard of Lesotho, a country landlocked in South Africa. And I was talking with her one day and she said, what do you think about moving over there? We can't pay you, but we want to start a nonprofit, an anti-trafficking nonprofit. We'll take care of your housing, your food, your transportation, all that. What do you think? We'll send you over there to check it out. And I thought, okay, maybe this is it, because Africa always played a huge part since I was a kid. And I didn't know what that looked like or what that was, but I knew Africa was part of my story. So I went over to visit, and after, I guess, day 2 or day 3, I was like, yeah, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So moved over there, spent 4 years over there, helped the nonprofit get off the ground. We saw the first ever conviction for trafficking happen in the country. It wasn't even recognized as a crime in the country, human trafficking, until the end of 2011. So you can imagine there's a huge learning curve for police, for government officials to even recognize it and call it what it is. Unfortunately, the church that we connected with there, the pastor stole about 50 grand, took the money and ran, had several affairs. They brought in another guy who would be part of the church covering, and he also had an affair. The senior pastor back in Oklahoma City, that came out that he had an affair. So it was just like one thing after the other. And I thought, I know that we're not perfect people, but my God, like we're supposed to be living a little bit of a at a different standard. So I was just still, I had never addressed the issue with Jeannie and the manipulation, and each ministry I was a part of after that were all products of her ministry. And so now I can see those things clearly and go, yeah, that makes sense. But at the time, my heart was in the right place, just wanting to help, just wanting to do some good, and just kept getting knocked down by like failure after failure, people stealing money and all these indiscretions. And so the end of 2014, I moved back to Atlanta, very disillusioned, just completely done with church, with ministry, with it all. So I went to work in the nonprofit space doing anti-trafficking work for an organization. It was great work. It was a faith-based program. So again, I saw a bunch of unhealthy stuff. But and then I went to work for another ministry with people experiencing homelessness. And the CEO and I had actually done master's commission together. He's actually Jeannie's nephew. And his dad had started the ministry. Now it's been, I think, almost 50 years ago, and passed it on to his son. So I went as his kind of right-hand person, office manager, and loved that work. Still got to do like the nonprofit side, but not so much the business church side. So it really kind of scratched that itch for me. But I was just kind of burnt out altogether in 2020. And my mom's job was moving her to Nashville. And she said, why don't you consider moving with me? Because you want to kind of take a break anyway. So I found a corporate job making really good money. And we moved to Nashville in 2020. Well, everything in Atlanta with Jeannie and Jordan, after they left the Tabernacle, they were fired from the Tabernacle. They went on to Victory Church just outside Atlanta, ran a master's commission that Jordan ran, and Jeannie ran like the youth and young adult program, or oversaw it. I think she had a youth pastor under her at that point, but she was still running the cadre and doing all those things. But I was not connected with her at all at that point. But I started hearing things that Jordan had gotten fired for having an inappropriate relationship with a student, and all these things. I started going, wait a minute. Back in Atlanta, when I was on staff with her, so back in between 2003 and 2008, I had emailed her because it was very hard to get a meeting with her unless it suited her, I guess. I emailed her about concerns I had with Jordan. And it wasn't anything sexual. It wasn't anything like that, but just boundaries that I saw were like inappropriate with students, that I was like, he would spend inordinate times with other students and just not appropriate. And so I emailed her about that. And her response to me was to forward the email to Jordan and have he and I. That was her way that she handled it. So that was one of the many reasons I left her ministry. I just thought, you don't want to address these issues. You want to hide and cover. And I can't be a part of that. So that was one of many, many reasons. But anyhow, back in 2020, I got wind that Jordan had gotten fired for this stuff. And I thought, oh boy, I know of at least 2 other staff members at the time that approached her about the very same thing. And so it came out, the church put out a statement that said, this happened. Jeannie is stepping down. But at the time, the heat was all on Jordan. Jeannie had not done anything wrong. And then shortly after that, people started talking on social media, like how unhealthy the culture was in both churches in Atlanta, in Rockford, even back to Nebraska, in California. And everybody kind of started saying the same thing, where everyone was like, wait a minute, I'm not the only one that feels this way. And so people just started feeling very validated, and like, I've been in therapy for years. I've thought this was me the whole time, all of these things. So people just started putting the puzzle pieces together. Well, shortly after that, because of all those stories, Victory Church came back out and said, we are distancing ourselves from Jeannie. We want nothing to do with her. This is not part of who we are. Cut all ties with her immediately. So of course she had to do damage control. So she sent out a letter to the cadre. It was all Jordan, throwing Jordan completely under the bus, not owning any of it. And she even put a video on her Facebook page, a video kind of saying the same type of things. And many of us started going on there going, you're lying. You were confronted about these things. And at the time, it wasn't even specifically about anything Jeannie had like done specifically. It was just Jordan. And I was just saying, no, we did confront you about these things. You chose to look the other way. You chose to not do anything. And so these comments started getting deleted. People started getting blocked. And so from that, we started the MCATL Share Your Story. So people could go on and just have a place to not get shut down and share their experience. Through all that, a small group of us decided, hey, let's do something. We all decided, like, our goal is not to, ruin Jeannie's credibility. She's done that herself. Our goal is not to drag her through the mud. She has done that herself. Our goal is to put the facts out there and let people do with that what they will. And so a small group of us decided to reach out to the AG. I think it was Juliana that had the brilliant idea to do the change.org signature thing. I don't know how many signatures it has now. I think the last time I looked at it was like a year ago, and it was 3,500 signatures. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, many stories came forward, many people willing to talk, some not. And I get that. Some just were not in a position where they could talk yet. They were still in ministry. They were still under the Assemblies of God. They had to protect themselves and their family. That was their livelihood. And so I totally understood that. But we were met with a lot of gaslighting. We were met by very prominent people in ministry saying that we were dragging her name through the mud, that we were trying to ruin her credibility, all these things. And I thought, I'm no longer a part of ministry, so I have nothing to lose or nothing to gain here. So I didn't care. And that was most people's case in our small group. From what I understand, the AG was very vague on kind of what steps they took at the time. But from what I understand, and I could be wrong, her credentials were taken temporarily at that time, but they were given back to her. She was asked to do like a sabbatical of sorts, which she never did. She continued in full-time ministry. She just moved to her son's church and changed up some wording, and now she was under a non-denominational church, so she no longer had that person to answer to, I guess. And so we just left it alone and just thought, this is what's going to come of it, and that just is what it is. And then through you guys and the podcast, Sean came out and said, listen, we had a sexual relationship. She abused me as a minor, all of these things. And it just reignited that was this year, that reignited everything back again. And so I reached back out to the AG. And as soon as I started speaking with them, they said, we already know the story. She has been basically disbarred from the AG. Her credentials have been taken indefinitely. She is no longer able to minister in an Assemblies of God church. And so that's where we are today.
Wow. That's a
story. That is a story. It's an all too familiar story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Melissa, I have a question. So between 2003 and 2008, you worked directly with her.
Yes.
And you saw stuff. When people started to come forward from Atlanta that were there at the time, there were things that were coming out that you did know about and did not know about, because that place is huge and there's so many moving parts, and she does a really good job at separating people out so they didn't talk.
Yes.
So what was the thing that really got you? Like, wait, this is not good. Was there something that happened to you? Something happened to one of your friends? Is there anything you can tell us like that?
I can't think of anything specifically. I think I forgot about all of this stuff for a really long time and just kind of set it away. I think the more I think about it, things might come up, but I can't think of one specific thing. I think the overall arching thing was the way the students were treated in Master's Commission. I mean, they worked literally as slaves for her. There were stories of people, she had like this really expensive carpet in her house, and one person was assigned to use a fork to brush her carpet, I guess help fluff it up before the cadre came in town. I mean, insane. She had people going up in the duct work, and somebody fell through her ceiling cleaning it. The way that she was with students in our youth ministry, just very manipulative. If you were her favorite, you were everybody's favorite. The minute, kind of what you spoke to, Mike, the minute that she wanted to shun you or keep you away, everybody would do that. And so it was just this pattern I continued to see. And again, even at the time, I couldn't really put my finger on what exactly it was, because she is really good at what she does.
She is.
But I just knew it didn't sit right with me. And so I don't think it was one specific thing. It was a culmination of lots of different stuff.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was there for 10 years, 5 in Bellevue, 5 in Rockford. And, what you're describing is the way she treated people. She was like love bombing, basically. She was incredible when she decided to love you.
Yes.
You just felt like you were the man on the moon. I mean, you were everything. But if she decided she was done, she was done. And you just saw that. You saw people just.
And I'll say this. Yeah. And this one thing I will say, the only reason I think that she had celebrated me was because I was a kick-ass small group leader.
Yeah, you're a producer. That's her pattern.
If that had been the case, I would not have been celebrated. I would have not been her favorite. She almost, I feel like maybe almost felt forced at times, and I could be wrong, to celebrate me because I ran such an incredible small group with my other leaders.
Right.
That I'm proud of to this day. So
right. Same pattern of behavior we saw as staff at school. I mean, she fawned over the staff at school because she had to, because most of us weren't making any money, right? And we were doing hard work, and we were useful to that. So yeah, all that same kind of thing there. And we also saw it in how she treated the students. I've talked to some of my former students that were like, yeah, she was really into this kid and that kid and this kid and that kid, but we were just like normal people, and so we never got the time of day, that kind of a thing. So But my point being is that there's a persistent MO here that we've heard over and over again on this podcast. You have outlined that again. Yeah, it's sad. So if you're listening to this and you've experienced all of that, yeah, it was real. That was happening. It wasn't just you. That was the system, and that's the way the system worked.
Were you surprised, Melissa, when 2020, when all this stuff was coming out, and some of the bigger names that worked for her? Like I can almost, like for me, I can almost not forgive, but I can kind of let it go with some of the people that didn't work for her. You know, that have their, you know, they saw Jeanne Mayo's greatest hits, and they're mesmerized by her, and they're like, how dare you? You know, I can tolerate that because you didn't see it. But the
Right.
people that were behind the closed doors and they saw all of it, they saw the manipulation, they saw the craziness. Those are the people that I'm having a tough time dealing with because I know they know. There's no way they didn't know.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
It oscillates back and forth. When this recent stuff with Sean came out, I emailed a couple of people that I know are still close to her and just said, "Hey, check this out." That's all I said, and didn't get any response and didn't expect to. I've been blocked by a couple people on Facebook, and it is what it is. I go back and forth with that because I think for a long time I saw it and I didn't want to believe it. You almost to like train your brain, like being a part, and this was a cult. 100% this was a cult. I can say that now. I couldn't have even said that a year ago.
Yeah, we agree, by the way.
We
I
100
couldn't have said that a
100%.
year ago. Yeah, I'm not sure I could have said that 6 months ago. I would maybe say it, but I don't know if I fully believed it because you still want to hold on to someone who did a lot of good in your life. She did a lot of good for me. She really did. I mean, there's things in my life that I say now that Jeannie said to me as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult. There are things that I can use in my place of business that she taught me about having good work ethic and all of these things. So I think it messes with your psyche when there's a lot of good that's mixed with a lot of manipulation. It can really cause clarity to not be there. And I think it's hard for people maybe still in ministry because there's still this protection aspect of you think you're protecting God somehow, and God doesn't need your protection. These are people, these are flawed people. And unfortunately, people get caught in the crossfire. But yeah, I go back and forth, Mike. I don't.
Yeah, one of the things that we've been talking. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, at times I'm upset with them. Like, how could you not know? How could you not have protected? But I was in the same spot and I didn't fully see until many, many years later. So at the same time, I get it, you know?
I understand
So
that. I think there's some people that, oh, go ahead, Brian.
I was just I think I know what you're going to say. Part of that too is that, so I'll just tell the story briefly. After she had left the school, they were actually planning on shutting the high school down. Some people got wind of it and they uncovered a bunch of financial mismanagement and figured out a way to keep the high school going. Well, that next year she was supposed to come back. They had been gone, but they were bringing her back to speak at our teachers retreat to motivate us to keep going, right? And so I wrote her a long letter, and let's just say that she didn't come, right? Which you would have think for a normal person, it would be like, okay, that's a relationship severing kind of thing. Yet there's at least 3 instances where I saw her after that, and multiple times when my kids were at retreats that she was speaking at, that she just love bombed you. She just continued to love bomb you. And I think one of the reasons that people get confused is that it's like keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer kind of a thing. She was very, very good at that kind of manipulation. Now, that always creeped me out, but that was part of that MO as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What I was going to get to is that Hebrews chapter, I think it's chapter 12, verses 5 through 11, talks about discipline, right? Talks about the discipline of God and how it makes us children of God, right? That's his mechanism to love us, is when he chastens us, right? And I made the point, Brian and I were talking about the other day, that I believe that some of those people really got in the way of God loving her. God's been wanting to love her through discipline, but they've covered her. That's my problem. I'm upset for her, kind of, because those people that say they love her, but then wouldn't expose what she was doing. I'm calling BS on that
Yeah.
because you really didn't love her.
Yeah.
You thought you were, and you were getting something out of that. She was protecting you. You were protecting your career. I get all that. I understand. I understand the allure of Jeanne Mayo. I was in it. I was smack dab in the middle of it. I was up there for 5 years in Rockford as her right hand man. I helped start that whole thing. I get that, but there was a point where I was like, "This is truth has to win. Truth has got to trump your success or whatever you're going to get out of this." And that's the problem I have. Not with the across the board people, not with the cheap seat people that were just part of her ministry, even low level leaders or even mid level leaders. You're good. But those people that were in the room saw where the bodies are buried and walked the other way and left you hanging, especially in 2020 when they could have come to your defense and said, no, she's not lying. They're not lying. They're right. They're not cancel culture and all the crap she was saying that was putting you guys down. They didn't come to your defense, and I'm upset about that. I am upset. I have to work through that because I saw how brave you guys were, and some of those main people that could have provided cover for you ran, and I
And
and it hurt her.
yeah,
It hurt her.
and many of the people who saw what she was doing and looked the other way, we can't attribute motive, but we can speculate. So I'm going to speculate. It had a lot to do with their own ambition. Look the other way. When things begin to come out, continue to look the other way. Not only did they deprive an opportunity for her to be confronted and corrected, worse, I think, is that they continued to facilitate the hurt and the trauma of the people who were in the wake and the hurt and the trauma of the people who were in the path that were yet to come. And I, I just I just want to call out to those people and say, now you've got an opportunity. Maybe it's too little too late. Maybe you look a little bit like a rat jumping off a sinking ship. Now is an opportunity for you, rather than say, oh yeah, we didn't know, or blah, 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 to come out and say to those people, we're sorry, we should have done better, we could have done better, we didn't do better. We will own that, and we will do whatever we can do to make that up to you. So I'm just gonna lay that out there and ask the better angels of people's nature to step up to the plate now. Now that there's no cover.
Yeah. And sadly, like that would be really nice, but my expectations of that are very low. I'm
Not
not
holding
sure
my
that will
breath.
happen.
Yeah, not holding my breath.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and we've gotten attacked. People saying that we're engaging in witchcraft and and that we're out for vengeance. And those people that are saying that I'm out for vengeance, I just have something to say to you. You don't know me, because if this was revenge, it would look a lot different. I'm a street kid.
Yeah.
I would find her when she wasn't looking, and it would happen fast, and nobody would know I was there. And that's what this was. This is not about that. This is not about revenge. I'm sad today. I'm sad today. I mean, I'm sad today because I said this in podcasts in the past of how you mentioned so many good things happen. Yes, I was with her for 10 years. She was amazing to me. And but to me it's like a bank robbery, right? Like she robbed a bank and gave me the money, and at the time when I was getting the money, I was like, this is awesome money, I could really use this. This is great. And it wasn't in the form of cash, it was in the form of love and affirmation, and she mentored me in some skills that I use to this day. And yeah, I got the money, but she robbed somebody else to get it, right? And then later on she robbed me to give it to somebody else.
Yep.
So that's got to be stopped, and the allure of the money has got to stop. Like, that's got to stop. And she's got to come to a place where she repents. And listen, if she repents for real, she can come on this podcast. We'll let her come on here and talk. I mean,
I welcome her in my home to this day. I would love to sit down with her. I'm not angry with her. I feel sorry for her. I really do. Am
yeah,
I
I'm gonna
angry at times? Yeah, I am. But um, I would love to see good come out of this. She's
Maybe
held so many other people's feet to the fire with asking for accountability for them. I would just like to see the same for her.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
normally I'm the nice guy here, but I'm gonna put a condition on that. She's welcome to come on here just as long as she's ready to tell the truth, own what she did, and say to all you people out there that she ran over, that she hurt, that she used, that she abused, that she is truly and genuinely sorry, that she owns it. And I will extend that invitation to any of her enablers, because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about enablers. And enablers hurt the person they're enabling, and enablers hurt the person that the enabler is hurting. If you want to come on here and you want to say, you know what, we got it wrong, and do that same thing, please welcome with open arms. But that's the condition. You got to own it, right? Because if you don't own it, then it's a farce. It's another lie. It's a CYA. It's a wallpaper job, and the time for that is done, because all of you people out there that suffered for decades because of her actions, the actions of a twisted and a broken person, and because of the actions of men and women and a denomination that wouldn't do anything, that looked the other way, that is the least that you deserve. And I mean, I don't say this on this podcast much, but I thank God today that somebody down in the district offices in Georgia stood up and drew a line and said, no more. We are not going to cover this anymore. We're going to do the right things by the people that matter. And you know what? Doug Clay, if you watch this, we have called you to task on a number of times. Thank you for doing the right thing this time. Let's make it a habit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still waiting, Rick. Still waiting, Gary. Still waiting, Rod. Still waiting, Jeremy. Still waiting for you. So man up.
Amen.
So,
All right. Melissa, you get the last word. Tell us what you want to say to anybody out there. Just, yeah, you get the last word.
My heart is with those that have not found their voice yet, that still feel like isolated, and maybe you're in ministry, maybe you're not in ministry, and you think you don't feel like you can speak up or have anything to say, and you've been very hurt by the hands of Jeannie. I'm just really sorry. And I hope that you can come to the place where you can make peace. You can forgive for yourself. Doesn't excuse what she's done. You can get the help you need, can healthy process things in a healthy way. And just know that there is a community of people that will welcome you with open arms, no judgment. We're here, whether we know you by name or not. We're here. We would love to let you share your story and just give you any kind of encouragement or help along the way that we can. That's where I'm at today. My heart's just.
That's a great word. That's a great way to end it. Melissa, thank you. Brian said at the beginning, but I'm going to say it again. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your bravery. Thank you for taking the punches. Thank you, Brian.
ditto.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. You're a hero.
We're going to put this on Thursday night. So Brian and I will come back on Sunday and do a follow-up to this. And I'm sure there's going to be more news by the time we hit Sunday. So, yeah, it's been happening fast and furious. So, yeah, it's been crazy. Phone's been ringing.
Yeah, and just quick, one thing I've said, because I'm not I like social media. I share stuff. I'm not really good with like going online and going live and all these things, which I've been doing a lot lately, just praying that it gets to the right people. But one thing that I've always said is that there's much more to the story that's not even being shared. So just know that there are other stories out there of people that may or may not be ready to share their story. That these are just our personal experiences. Just know that there's lots of other stories out there, and I pray that people find the courage to share them at some point.
That's good. Awesome.
That's good.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. We'll see you Sunday. This will be on
See you
tonight,
Sunday.
so we'll see you Sunday.
That's right.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Guys.
Thank you, Melissa.